Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Amy Metz with the United Cajun Navy. I have opened up the software right now for what we use on the United Cajun Navy weather app. Now, not everything you see here is going to be available on that app, but you can find precise information and forecast details for your area on there, along with so much more. So, I've layered a lot on here just to give us an overview of what's going on, and we will definitely also be touching base on the search areas for today. So, it is now Saturday, August 23rd, 11 a.m. Central. And I happen to be in Georgia today. So that's why I'm thinking it's noon on the PM side. Behind me, you can see the sun, and we've had a little rain on and off. So you see on the map there for the southeast, there are some areas with watches, the green in Georgia, particularly where there's some flooding. Parts of South Carolina, but it's NOLA. We're looking at New Orleans and also the Texas Hill Country where there are active searches going on. Other notable things here are the tropics. We have a new system. This would be 90L that is going to be going north. That's past the Bermuda area. So we'll keep an eye on that for the islands. But then it's also the Barbados, the Greater Antilles, places like St. Lucia, Martinique in the Caribbean there that are going to be getting the next touch of a tropical storm style action. So right now, just tropical depressions. Nothing there that is actually showing us that we have a reason to believe we're going to have any kind of damages from these on the U.S. in the next week. Instead, it's going to be riptides that we're looking for, some strong undertow currents that would be possible for causing problems over the next week. And so, as we look ahead, I'm going to let you be able to ask questions that you have. First, I will touch base on those search areas and give a forecast. And since it's my first time doing this, I'm also going to double check the systems and make sure that I am up and running here on the YouTube page, which I don't currently see. So give me a moment to make sure it's not on another one. Okay, excuse me. There it is. Yeah, I see it now. So yeah, thank you. Now, Kevin LaFawn, I'm sure a lot of you know him. As I was looking around, he texted me, said, yes, it's going. So I know the delay now also. That sounds like we have about a 10-second delay from the moment that I'm able to have the live stream showing to me. And then some of the comments would be, let's say, about a minute or two delayed in a lot of cases. So I'm able to open up this video on YouTube itself, but for some reason, it's just not loading on my screen right now. So if anybody has comments for that, what I'm going to be doing is in the future also be sharing these on to our Facebook page. There's a weather group called United Cajun Navy Weather Watch. So you can go there and get these where I'll start off pretty similar every time. Give you guys a broad view of what's out there across the United States in the tropics, things that might affect the United States later in the next week or two. And then I'll zoom in on those areas that of interest where there's some searches going on. So if I play this out, some of these things are coming up funny there because I have it ready to show information later where it didn't have yet. So in the areas we're talking, you can see my cursor here then too. West of San Antonio, that is the Texas Hill Country. That is where we still do have people looking, searching for people and also belongings. So we can see this is the rainfall that we're seeing accumulate here and as well as New Orleans that I mentioned earlier. So in this area, again, afternoon thunderstorms is what we're looking for. It's kind of been that way day after day. So afternoon, evening thunderstorms with a lot of lightning. Because of space weather recently, particularly a radiation storm, this does actually increase some of the electron density and therefore the lightning content that we have down on the ground. So cloud cover at the moment, not very much. It's pretty early still. We're not going to see a lot of activity until later on. And so I will be finding a way in the future to make sure I can keep track of these in the field, the comments that is on YouTube, because it's not showing up on my phone. But in that case, I know it's new. We don't have a lot of people probably commenting right now. So I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, I see two people watching, and as we grow, that I'm sure will change. So I'm gonna go ahead then and open up some more information that we can get, and just give you an idea for the future, as people can see this video later on through the week, get an idea of what's available here for us to look at and go over together. We can see so many tabs here with the weather, whether that's going to be from the National Weather Service watches and warnings, like I showed you earlier. Then we can click on those and get more information. So the U.S. forecast, we have a lot to look at. The wind speeds aren't going to be too notable today for any of these areas, but come in handy during hurricane season a lot more. And I did use some of the precipitation forecasts for what we're looking at now, but instead it's the accumulation. So instead, I can give you an idea of what that would do. What you're typically used to seeing on TV would be more like this, and we can choose different models in the future. We can go ahead and look at different timelines with this and get an idea that we look at the time in the bottom right, that this goes in through the evening. Again, it's those afternoon, evening thunderstorms for both areas where we have searches ongoing. Now, I'll back up here because it's notable to mention the tropics at the moment, too. The West Coast kind of warnings, the ones over Hawaii as well, those are a lot of heat dry warnings. Along the coastal areas, it's not so bad, but hey, that's where you can go if you want to enjoy Labor Day without any of the undertows and swells that are going to likely be coming into play from some of the tropical activity. Now, some of the stuff I haven't used on Baron, which is the software that we're using just yet, because it's newer. It just came out in the last year, is all the tropical information. And so it's pretty great. A lot of this is available for all of you to use for free on the United Cajun Navy Weather app. So I would definitely recommend downloading that and staying, up to date on things. If you're going to be out enjoying Labor Day weekend, you can get details here. So let's see what they have out there right now. They are up. Wow, it looks like actually the hurricane hunters might be out on the flight through this. I'm looking at the time. Here we go. On 8:22. Yeah, no. Yeah, yesterday they did do another flight through things because it's not going to be as often. That's why I would have been surprised if it was again today, but things were in the clear. And sure, they want to go get some information and help get data that's going to allow researchers to understand forecasting patterns better, and input more data to get a better output later on forecasts. So if they get that kind of information as to what exactly is going on there fine tuned, we'll have better models in the future. So thank you, hurricane hunters. That's going to be much more useful as we get closer to hurricane center hurricane the peak of hurricane season, and there's some possible landfall so really close to you. That's where that data is extra important. It's going to be the most high resolution, aka the most fine-tuned, accurate data available at those times. And so I will be reviewing a lot more information here and sharing things as they come along. For instance, the unfortunate anniversary of Hurricane Katrina is coming up soon, so we can look at some past storms. That's something you can ask for in the comments here, and outline some details as to what new data that is available today would have been useful back then, so that you can then share it with your friends. You can use it yourself in order to better prepare for what's to come. Because yes, we have so much new information here, all of these different models that are available. We can go over one by one. At the moment, like I'm saying, there's nothing imminent, no landfalls. I do suspect that with some of the dry air that is ahead of, as I talk, I'm trying to get to stuff at the same time, but I'm not as used to using this one. So typically, I would like to pull up right now. I'm thinking to show the dry air that I want to mention ahead of this storm, which is located here right now. This would be 99L, is going to have an interaction. So if I get to put on the satellite here, I'm going to go to the visible in this case. I know one of these, here we go, it's the global. There's one global model there. And so this is having a lot of dry air in between. When we end up with a mashup of different air columns coming together and a lot of dry air in between, we could maybe see some spin ups of like quick um I'm forgetting the word water spouts. I want to see one so bad, never seen one yet. I've seen a ton of crazy stuff, which is why I became a meteorologist. But at that point, when it gets close to Barbados, that's what we're looking for, some strong winds because it's so dry ahead of this storm, which at the same time is good for the information that it's gonna kind of evaporate the outer sides of the storm as it starts to get closer to the greater Antilles and the islands here. I can zoom in on a little less than that is probably better. That this is where we would be able to see some strong wind gusts and rain, but to be honest, by strong I mean like 50 miles per hour. So not expecting this to get so bad. And one of the reasons is that if the storm is centered somewhere around here and also interacting with the land of all of these islands, it ends up adding in some wind shear there. So that's going to kind of keep the storm on the smaller scale, I believe. Of course, we'll keep our eyes on this in case there's any kind of changes there. Something might come from above and make a difference there. And I say that with a smile because I'm talking about space weather. So I'll share more about space weather with you guys later too. But in the meantime, I'll at least go to SWPC, as we call it, the Space Weather Prediction Center, before I hang up here and give you guys a kind of synopsis of what I study now as my higher education, and that would be space weather and how it interacts with our atmosphere and changes our weather here. Now, a lot of people who work in EMS and first responders are already probably familiar with some of the radio blackout information, and then how things could impact communications as far as using different satellite communications to interact with each other when, let's say, all the cell phone towers have been downed. Stuff like this is impacted right now, but I look even closer at how it is going to be changing our weather. And one of those things that we had today from the radiation storm, well, it's in part here because of this solar flare that occurred at 8 August 22nd around 1900. This is going to be UTC Greenwich time Zulu. It has a lot of different code names there, but it's over in Europe. And so what we see here is also some protons coming into the atmosphere. These types of things have a big impact on how much lightning we're going to get. And so do expect that that there will be a lot of cloud to ground lightning with the thunderstorms that do get produced over the next day or two, especially with those search areas, because a lot of times the stronger impacts, and I'll play some of these as we go so you can have something fun to look at, that I'll explain more later. Or if you have questions, I can answer them later. But some of the impacts that are going to be downline from these storms is going to be the cloud to ground lightning also polarized. That's one of the strongest things. That's when we have a reversed, instead of going from the ground to the cloud, it's the cloud to the ground, back and forth. We have an option there that's going to be a lot more strong, about a million times stronger when we get the polarized style strike, which happens to occur very far from the cloud tops, oftentimes where it's not raining at all. And they are so much stronger. So just be understanding of that. Rubber boots, things like that can be very helpful. Staying out of the water. If you hear any kind of rumbles or see that they're coming within about 15, 20 miles of you, maybe it's time to just halt the searches. And then, just since it's showing off, I don't want to ignore what these things mean completely, but we are looking at the coronagraph, and there is a celestial body there just passing right on by. And as well as all these little dots you see, a radiation storm passing our instrument out in a low Earth orbit. That's going to be on the GOES 19 satellite. So that wraps it up for today. I'll end this stream and eventually yeah, get a little bit cleaner. And you guys just tell me what you want, what kind of style you care for, because traditionally I would have multiple screens around me, but what I'm getting set up for is really the bare minimum, so that when I'm inside of a danger zone, disaster zone, I can just easily pop up and connect with you all and really kind of interact, go one-on-one. Like for instance, I have a microphone here so that I would be able to interview people and talk on scene. But if what that means for right now is that I am in a little bit of a learning curve. And so, for instance, you might see that I'm gonna like end the stream. And so I can, if you care about this kind of stuff, yeah, I would normally like set them up way down low and I could kind of have it hidden there. And yeah, we'll get things more fine tuned. But my point here is really, I'm here for you. and I want to know what you want. I'll help you along the way. It's all about safety, mitigation, knowing what to do before the storm, during the storm to stay safe, who to ask for help from after the storm, who you can join forces with to give a hand after the storm. And don't forget that even if you just lost a little bit, I oftentimes go into these places and meet victims that don't want the help, that want to say, it's going to make me a little emotional, but that will want to say that they're all good, they're just fine. And this has happened. I'm getting sad because I'm recalling the moments that these have happened. And it's been with people who don't have shoes on, who have holes in their clothing, who haven't eaten properly in weeks and haven't been sleeping. And still, just because they know that their neighbors lost their lives or their loved ones, they feel that they're fine compared to what they're seeing. And so don't forget that if something happens to you in those moments, no matter how big or small, just don't forget to ask for help. And these are the kind of places that you can do that. That'd be any of these comment sections here. We are actively watching them. The United Cajun Navy, for which I've just teamed up with, has so many people helping out and watching to help keep you prepared too. So yeah, we have that app I mentioned earlier. Go ahead, download United Cajun Navy weather app. And on there, there's also tabs you can find easily for volunteering, asking for assistance. And we'll continue to develop that so that it interfaces the best ways with you. So if you happen to have problems, please let us know and we'll work with you for making sure you get the best information.